Hello.
So what's going on?
Well, it's a big day today.
Another big day.
It's the big reveal. If you thought the last videos were important, this is probably the most important video I've ever made in my whole life. And we're starting off here at St. Bartholomew's Church.
St. Bartholomew?
Yeah. Don't know who that is. I don't really care. It's all about what this church did, what Colin Bly did here, and Tim will be here any second to tell us all about it. So next thing you'll be listening to Tim.
It's a very...
I'm the most ignorant person on the planet.
This looks like a warehouse, doesn't it?
Ah.
It's the oddest church I've ever seen.
That's the south end, so the entrance is south. Not east-west. I messed it up.
Is that because I was recording?
I'm not telling you.
Boo-hoo, he's not telling me.
Uncle Tim will tell you in a minute.
I don't even know what I just did. It just happened, mate.
Is that why you're not telling me, or you do know but you're not going to tell me? I might as well ask Sir Hale.
We're loading the spiritual energy from the church into our crystals.
Do you want to talk about Sir Hale?
Oh, here we go. He rang me up he texted me this morning.
Just let that go.
Wanted me to take him out.
And he lost something. He dropped something, bent down, and couldn't get up, and needed a little bit of help.
But the fact that he only remained in the hospital for 10 days is beyond a miracle, and he's walking. And he discharged himself and took himself home after a 15-hour back operation. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, you've told us that you found Peas Law.
Yeah.
And you took some video of the TR3B.
Yes.
But you haven't told us you were in Peas Law.
Yeah, so we had permission to go onto the farmer's land. We got thrown off first, so we went and found the farmer. Had a nice chat with him, told him what we were all about, talked about crop circles and UFOs, and he said we could go back up onto the land. So we've gone back up there. We're about to give up and go home, and this thing came over us. I don't know, half a mile away. It's hard to tell. 3 white lights and a red light in the middle. Pulled out my video camera. Unfortunately, it was on manual focus, so it's a rubbish film. The film I've given you. We'd done a time check. It was, I don't know, it was 1:30 something. It was very late at night, and we all checked the time. The next thing you know, we're climbing back into the van, looking at our time, and we've gone, hang on a minute, we just got out of the van and got back in it, and half an hour's gone by. How does that make any sense? So, Hale and James got their regression done. I've never had regression for anything, and don't know. And they said it was Delta Force that picked us up, took us in the base. I don't know how we got inside it.
It's such an inverted, it's a flat,
it's an upside down triangle. I just want to say, the first time I ever saw that triangle, I was with Wilson in Chichester, and he was attacked by, he was either MI6 or MI5. I went racing through town to rescue him, and the guy grabbed hold of Wilson's camera in the middle of town, smashed it out of his hand. Wilson's picked it up, taking pictures of him, and he went back off on a government agent. And we saw him get into a van that they build. I looked it up on the internet. The van he got in was for a big building company, and they build all the underground installations for the military. Yeah. So he gets in that and drives off. Wilson and I then sat outside my house talking about what just happened in the middle of town. And this van comes down the road. The 2 guys in the van both go like that at us. Behind it is a silver Vauxhall Astra van with all aerials and radar on it. Behind that is a bloke on a motorbike, all dressed in black, and as he goes past us, he turns his head like that and stares, and he had an upside down silver triangle on his back. We drove to the police station, and they were all parked up around the back of the police station. And I thought, oh yeah, there we go, Tim Tim.
All their military bases.
So, but when I was in Peasemore, I was strapped down on a silver table. James and our other friend were allowed to just stand there. Guy comes in with a clipboard. Clipboard scientist and all that starts pointing at me, going, "What the effing hell is he doing in here? You should never bring him in here. He's the last person we ever want in here." And they threw us out. Well, they threw me out. And then James said that they put a clamp on my mouth and pushed these green eggs down into me.
Green eggs?
Yeah. Waste of time, wasn't it, on their part?
Green eggs?
Yeah. They could have had them with some chips or something.
Yeah. You haven't never
But,
mentioned that before?
No, I forget things. But when I went to the toilet for 2 weeks afterwards, it was all green, so yeah. Now, here's something I never told you. I went back to Peasemore 2 weeks later with my photographer friend, just to have a look around and show him what had happened. And we sat in the pub, and it was 10 o'clock, and I was laughing about what had happened before. Everyone was in there eating dinner, watching the late night football, and it was 10 o'clock. We both checked our phones with the clock on the wall. Everything went black in the pub. Everything went off. Everything went black, and came back on again. And an hour had gone by. I'll never forget that. And everyone was still there, but the time was an hour different. And that was an instant. I can't explain that. I have no idea what happened.
When I went down to Peasemore initially to see the place,
You do this later.
I always missed the pub.
Yeah. He won't stop now. He's on one, he won't stop.
Cheap side.
We just did ours outside. The squares.
All right, you did your outside. That's good. You started. Brilliant.
So this is the perfect Freemasonic church, 169 feet long, with an extra foot for the doorway, which is 13 squares, and 144 feet high, which is 12 squared. This is St Bartholomew's, where I met the great man Colin Bly in September '81, and he was the magus of a secret department of MI6. He used to be in military intelligence, friends with Michael Benteen, and there was a whole group behind him who were trying to use the Knights Templar technology to bring down the pesky Russians and destroy Arthur Scargill and those horrible Union people. So he had a high priest doing a high mass to incept the Fountain Group, which on the surface was love and light, and in fact was there to collect loads of this minus I energy. And then, of course, this secret department of MI6, he was the modern-day Dr. D, the 007, was going to use it to destroy the filthy Russian threat and the filthy Union threat. So, of course, I come here every day to feed off the Christian church, feed off all those Christians who are giving their souls to the Elohim and all their love and light to God who protects them and has turned the earth into a paradise on earth, where they're all super rich, like Elon Musk. They all drive Ferraris, they all walk on the street. Oh, sorry, that's heaven. That's going to happen once they're dead, we're told, but I haven't met anyone who's come back. So I always start with sucking out all the energy from the Christians, and I do it 84 times, which is the 12th term of the Fibonacci series. If you go up to the 7th level, I won't explain. Need a whiteboard for that, I can't be bothered. And then after that I start poisoning the Christian faith to hell bomb it, to put in minus I. So of course then we use the death spot, my death spot, because remember the entire West wants to kill me. The Pentagon's gone mad about my hell bomb technology. The Rothschilds have gone mad because I'm starting to kill them. Poor little Annabelle Rothschild, who was forced to drop her Rothschild name, first wife of the Crown Prince of the West, the fucktard Nathaniel Rothschild, who's the son of Jacob Rothschild, who looks like the billionaire from The Simpsons. Exactly the same. In fact, I think that is actually the caricature of Jacob Rothschild, your Lord and Master. So when we mention him, you should kneel down, kiss the floor, because we've uttered the name of your supreme leader. We talk about North Korea, but in the West, the Jacob Rothschild controls the West utterly. Everything's done for him. He prints all the money, Federal Reserve, Bank of England, Bank of International Settlements in Basel. They've been behind every war since Napoleonic times. The Chinese printed a book on the Rothschilds explaining all this, which was a bestseller in China, not allowed to be published here. And of course, Nathaniel is the crown prince, and he'll soon be your master when Jacob pops his clogs, or the walk-in, whatever, inside it, reptiloid, according to David Icke, wanders off into Nathaniel. Now then, of course, the next thing is to poison, to put the minus I into the Christian faith. So then, of course, we do 13 concentric squares, which go inwards, which of course is the pyramid. So all pyramids are evil, but they don't tell people they're minus I generators. We're going to talk today about using the pharaonic science, which is the basis of Illuminism, to destroy the Rothschilds in the West. Just a normal, light-hearted topic. So I do it twice. And today's the perfect day because it's the 22nd. 11 stands for death in the Kabbalistic tree and death. So 22 is double death. And 7 stands for the exchange rituals of Kabbalah, where you give the 7 deadly sins and evil to your enemies and take the 7 good things from them. And people who want to look that up can look. It's up in the appendix of A.E. Waite's book, The Holy Kabbalah. I had a pristine copy until the council smashed my flat up and ripped it to pieces, just for, I don't know why, but seems to be the norm. So we put death in, and then of course we need a luciferic stone for the minus I part of the Argand diagram. So you need to watch part 1 or part 2. This is part 3, I think. I've lost count.
This is part 3 of the science of... Well, it's part 5 actually. Yeah, part 1's really cheesy, then we had part 2 in your flat. And then part 3 was part 1 of this.
That's
You're
good.
Confused. But just
well, say the listeners follow it. I've lost interest. I've lost interest. So then we hadn't told it. So we put another 13. That's using the minus I stone. That's what I do normally every day. Then, of course, I call up all my enemies. The Colin Bly taught me how to call up the archetype of your enemies. So I call up all my enemies. Then I stick my death into them.
That's why you hold your back left shoulder.
Yeah, all the time. I want to kill them all, you see. All my enemies are on my death list. So if you look on psychicwarfare.com, you'll see the list of my enemies who will all drop dead like Annabelle. The more...
That's your website?
Yeah, well, I'm one of them. One of my websites. Then we can call them up again, use the luciferic stone, pop them, and pop. Now, of course, luckily, we've had, since the last part 1, part 2, part 3, or whatever it was, part 17, we've had proof point. Remember, it's all well and good saying you're going to do things, but we've had just a bit of publicity from the last video. The Mail and the Sun have been publicising me like mad, where we had, for example, from the Sun. You've got to love the Sun. The Sun's a glorious paper. About dear little Annabel Rothschild, first wife of the Crown Prince of the West. The Sun would be having me in the paper every day if they could, but remember, I'm demoted. You're not allowed to talk about me, so, you know, whatever I say will never be in the press because it's national security. And, of course, the Mail, which I love the Mail. Screw those migrants. Go for the migrants, Mail. Kill. Kill those migrants. Slaughter them. Yep.
And who are these exactly?
I don't know, they're all fucktards, I think, but that's Annabel Nielsen, who used to be Annabel Rothschild, first wife of the old Crown Prince. Aren't you bowing down and kissing the floor when I mention your Crown Prince, Nathaniel?
No.
Oh no, you'll get punished for that, punitive action. So then we place it on the floor. All the energy from the Sun readers, all that's a nice minus I, and of course we want to poison it with minus I. So of course we get our damned soul, who's super worshipped, whose soul I bought off the great Lord Lucifer for all my technology, without which I'd have been screwed. You might have heard of her, KP. Kate Perry to you. So she's the minus I soul, which we can then use on the female soul of the dead one here. Oh yeah. And then we just insert this eye to the eye inside Christian faith. There we are. And we can draw our concentric circles again, squares. You don't want to touch the stone too, KP, otherwise it might damage the poor woman. She's very valuable, my most valuable possession. And minus I, damned soul, is worshipped by billions of people. Her videos have had, 10 billion views? So she was the game changer in my war against the Rothschilds, because I need the minus I route. And since I haven't sold my soul to the great Lord Lucifer, I needed one of his prized possessions. Now we can wander off. That is the hell bomb technology. Put minus I with a massive amount of minus I, and Annabel Rothschild with the Sun and the Male, plus KP inside the Christian I to give you the hell bomb, which then of course you can use to delete information or to change causality or to change timelines. All of which is explained in the hell bomb service on psychicwarfare.com. Beautiful church, and then we shall wander off.
He was the secret deputy director of the CIA when JFK was in power, and he was his right-hand man at the age of 14 years old. So yeah, psychic child and all that, and their parents were best friends and all this. So
That's now running. Well, what have we just done?
We've just been into Bartholomew's Church.
But you were doing some kind of thing with squares that Tim was doing inside.
Was I?
Yeah.
Aren't you nosy?
I was very...
I'm not telling anyone what I do.
Oh,
Tim will tell you what he does.
so we'll do that.
He's the man.
And where are we going next?
Okay, so we started off in St Bartholomew's Church, where Colin Bly started.
Who's this guy, Colin Bly? He seems to be...
I used to own a big music company, and I used to cut vinyl records. You knew that, didn't you?
Yes.
So I used to cut
I was speaking
grooves
to my former web girl.
into the virtual records, and I did. I've cut #1 records. I've done R. Kelly's Ignition. That was the best record I ever did. I had a little tear in my eye the day I did that, because that was my dream, to work on #1 hit records.
Number 1 hit record.
Yeah, so I did all that. I did Chris Brown's first record and a few others. But anyway,
I'm gonna order a cup of coffee.
I'll keep talking. That's weird. I'm now talking to just a camera, which is it's weird. I don't know what to say. I've gone all blank now. You've left Mars, so I'll tell you. So I came to Brighton, moved my business to Brighton, and my office was outside one of the places we're about to go and visit, and that's the obelisk next behind St. Peter's Church. And my office was right next to it, and I used to sit there, and I didn't have to do much work because I had an engineer that actually cut the records, so I just used to make everything happen. So half the day I'd sit there with my feet up on the window looking at this obelisk, thinking, why are you there? You don't make any sense to me at all. So I googled St. Peter's obelisk. Colin Bly came up, and a story about how he learned to douse. So I read his story, got some coat hangers, I went out onto the Stein, the grass bit we're about to walk down, and I walked across where the grass, you get fairy rings, and the grass looks greener in circles, and I walked across with my dowsing rod and they started spinning. And I'm losing my shit, going, what is this? What is this? So
it's ley line, energy ley line.
It's ley lines, yeah. That was my introduction to ley lines. I then, a friend of mine, I then wrote to someone else I'd found on the internet, who I don't want to mention now because I haven't spoken to her on the phone yet, and we really need to talk. And she came over and we made the Holy Grail Vortex film, which is all about Avebury and Stonehenge, and it was information people had never heard before. It was the Elohim stuff, you know. So
now, for people who listen to this later, can you reference, is that on YouTube, or where can they find
that's
that?
all on YouTube, yeah. Under Gridkeeper, yeah. So I've then gone off for 2 weeks around Avebury, visiting crop circle, and we did, you could say it was a ritual. We did a ritual, and there was no crop circles in 2006 until the day we did this thing, and we changed the frequency of the Salisbury Plain using a mirror effect and stuff. And that night the first crop circle appeared, and we were bouncing resonance waves from Silbury Hill to Merlin's Mound. And Merlin's Mound is in Marlborough College, and it's 2/3 the size of Silbury Hill. So we bounced this resonance wave. That night, on the hill, across the road, near West Kennet Longbarrow, across the road from Silbury Hill, a crop circle appeared, and it was in June 2006, and it was like a 3D set of like 7 circles.
Now, when you say it appeared instantaneously, or the next day, or the next week, or
that evening, yeah, and it depicted these 7 circles, and it was Silbury Hill, and the next one was 2/3 the size of it. And that I held on to that, and I thought, I can't tell people this. No one in the world's ever going to believe me. So it changed my life, and I then went back to work 2 weeks later. Walked into my very expensive music company. The machine in there was brand new, was £250,000, and that was just the machine that cut the records, let alone anything else. I walked in there, went to my photocopier, picked up an A4 bit of paper and a green pen, and I put the engineer's name on it, and I wrote, "I hereby sign everything over to you." Dated it, signed it. I walked down into the cutting room. I went, "George, this is for you, mate. You've earned it." And I walked out and never went back. And that was what Colin Bly did. It changed me, you know, and I had to know what the truth was. And I spent 10 years thinking I knew what the truth was. And I did lots of things. I don't regret anything I did or what I learned. But since I met Tim, my life got turned on its head again. And everything I thought I knew was true, I threw it all away and started again. And what else can I say?
From the things he said to you, or introduced you to, or what does that mean? Elaborate for people who may listen.
Yeah, Tim. I told Tim about my experiences and what I'd done, and my family and my bloodline and all these things. And he just looked at me and he said, "Have you ever looked at it like this or thought about it like that?" And I said, "No." and my whole reality just fell apart around me in my mind. Everything just fell apart, and I thought, what I have been doing is an okay thing. Who was I always doing it for? I always thought I was going to help humanity, we're going to free humanity. All I was doing was helping the aliens, giving them energy and giving interdimensionals energy and feeding the Elohim. And I think because I went through that, I can now understand more of what Tim talks about when he mentions these things, and I really know what's right and wrong now. And I tell it all, this is to all the light workers watching this, and this won't be all of you, but most of you, everything that you think that you're doing right is actually wrong.
Why can you say that? How can you say that?
I knew you were going to ask me that, so I wanted Tim to explain that to you. Understanding evil. Understand evil and where the energy goes and who God is. No, I know what the West stands for. Western Evil Satanic Territory. Controlled by Zion. Zombie installations operating negatively. And run by the... and I'm not being anti-Semitic, it's the truth. Jews. Judas, evil, walking Satanists. So what is evil? People don't understand what evil is.
Camshaft. So it opens the valves up much quicker than Fords or Chevy.